Here's why you need to watch this video till the end. Here's why this can actually have a big impact on your life. The person whose advice that we are about to learn from is known as Yuval Noah Harari. He is an intellectual, he is a historian, he is a professor, and he is also an international bestseller of amazing books such as Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, Homo, Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow, and 21 Lessons for 21st Century, and many more books. He is someone who is an in-demand speaker in a lot of tech conferences regarding future, what's going to happen, and history regarded conferences. And his idea, his advice for youngsters is what we'll be looking at in this video. With that said, let's begin. Hello guys, welcome to Book Ideas, where we tell you interesting ideas from interesting books. The book that we have picked today is called as Tribe of Mentors. Now, Tribe of Mentors is a book by Tim Ferris. He is also a very successful podcaster whose podcast has been downloaded more than 200 million times. Not only that, he has also written other international best-selling books such as Tools of Titans and 4-Hour Work Week, even 4-Hour Body. With that said, what was Yuval Noah Harari's advice? When asked his advice for youth or graduating students, by the way, it's not only limited to students, it is something that is accurate for anybody. Okay, but he said this. The first advice is learn personal resilience and emotional intelligence. He said it's very important, especially now. Especially in the 21st century, it's very important to learn how to be resilient and also emotional intelligence. He said it's not easy to learn with our current educational system. But as we go to his other advices, you will know why this is important. Now, the second advice he gives is about how looking for stability will actually leave you behind. The world will take away you. Why? Because he said this. One is stability was something, it's a thing of a past. In the past, even right now, what people expect is they'll learn till about some age, right? Some 20, 22, 23, 25. After they finish college, after they learn the skills, for the rest of their life, they try to depend on those skills and learnings to help them navigate their way through the world. It happened, it worked at our father's time, our grandfather's time, our great-grandfather's time, but it won't work anymore. The simple reason being, the pace of change is too quick. It's just too quick. You can't just look for stability. Looking for learning a few skill set, looking for a job that's very stable, retiring at 50 or 60 and enjoying your life is something that will not happen in the future. It just won't. And he said, whatever you learn now, in the year 2040, by the year 2040, most of it will not be valid. So third advice he gives is don't trust the adults too much. So if you're a parent watching this, you might feel offended. You know what, I'm not going to show my kids this. Or if you're a kid, you might feel happy because you have something to argue with the parents or with the adults who advise you. But he said don't trust the adults too much. Here's why. He said most of the adults who were brought up in previous generations, the education system that they went through was the education system in the industrial era. Even now, what we are studying, most of us, is kind of remnants of industrial era education system. Most of it is functioning same way. Now that worked for the industrial era where change wasn't too quick. Right now, change is way too quick. Right? For example, if you don't still understand it, in a year, look at how many new versions of phone comes out. Think about a time when your father was your age, or your mother was your age, or your teacher was your age. How many number of phones came out? Similarly, a lot of things are changing. Technological advancement, psychological advancement, so many things are happening. That what they thought, that they learned, their ideas on politics, their ideas on where the world would go, does not actually work anymore. But at your father's time, at your parents' time, them listening to their adults worked because the pace of change was a lot slower. Like, get do engineering and you're settled for life. This is something that your parents learned. Get a degree and you're settled for life. That is something that does not happen right now. It's obvious, right? And it's only getting crazier. So that's his next advice. Fourth advice is don't trust technology too much. Don't trust technology too much. He said that technology always has to be something that we use. It's not something that we need to be used by. It is there to aid us. It is a tool for us that we use for our needs to be fulfilled. He said if you're not careful, very quickly technology might begin to control you. Right? Technology might dictate what you do in life. That is something that should not control you. Next, fifth piece of advice, he said, this is a very common, the oldest advice in the book is know thyself. But his explanation is not very basic. Now you might be thinking know thyself or know yourself is something that everybody keeps telling. Everybody will usually give you some psychological answer. If you ask them why, they'll tell you, you know what, it's just important. It's your life. You need to understand yourself. But he gives a very, very interesting perspective. He said, we are at the time where Facebook, Google, Twitter and all these medias exist. And they know a lot more about you than you do. We are living in an era where data is very valuable. And by the data, analyzing the data, they are able to understand what are your needs, your patterns of behavior through that data. So he said that if you don't get to know yourself, it's very easy for government or organizations to control you using that data and understanding you a lot better than you do. And the worst part about it is you might not even realize that you're being controlled. So he said, he tells an interesting thing in one of the chapters. I'll just read it to you. So this interesting thing that he said in the book, in one of the chapters is, so if you want to stay in the game, you have to run faster than Google. That is his advice, and I think that's an amazing advice. That said, if you felt like you learned something of value, then leave a like and hit that subscribe button because we'll be bringing a lot more book ideas. And if you have any books that you would like to recommend us, that you would like us to pick ideas from, then leave that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. This is Abhishek and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.